We need a great reset.
Learn to use the dark side of the Force.
Bank runs all over the world. Just a glimpse of what may happen in the United States in the near future. This is CBS News headline: Sri Lanka protests set to topple the government. Why it happened and what comes next. Got a clip here from this ABC report.
Turning now overseas to an amazing explosion of public anger in Sri Lanka, the island country off the southern coast of India. It has forced the president and prime minister to resign there as tens of thousands of protesters occupied the homes, the bedrooms, even the bathrooms of two leaders in that country in the capital city of Colombo. The country's
hang on one second. They're showing this huge crowd make its way into the prime minister's house, I guess, or the building, the palace. And it's like a big party, looks like. You know,
they're taking selfies on the bed. It's a true celebration.
Waving flags off the balcony. It's a whole thing.
Using the royal toilets, invading the personal spaces, the private spaces of their corrupt leaders. What a beautiful sight. And you can see the way that this is being reported, even the news anchor is like, wow, it's amazing. You can see, like, he might not even know it, that like he deeply appreciates people taking power back from the lizard people, back from the elites, the political elites. He doesn't even know it, but it fills him with, it inspires him with what the future could really be.
Yeah, just a very clear example of Orwell's Animal Farm comes to mind.
Yeah, it really is.
This. Yeah,
it's like Animal Farm playing out. And hilariously, because the design of the royal palace is, you know, very similar to like the government buildings in the U.S., it's got a very interesting sort of
Jan 6 feel,
Jan 6 vibe.
Looks even
because
more...
again, they're not like burning it down.
No,
they're just like enjoying the space.
Let's continue with the report here.
Minister to resign there as tens of thousands of protesters occupied the homes, the bedrooms, even the bathrooms of two leaders in that country in the capital city of Colombo. The country's economy has collapsed. It's run out of food and fuel and medicine and other essential supplies. And as Elizabeth Palmer reports, the capital is now in chaos.
By Saturday, the pressure on the government was overwhelming, with tens of thousands protesting outside the presidential headquarters. And then as word spread that the president had gone, a crowd surged into Gotabaya Rajapaksa's private residence and were amazed.
They were amazed. As they show this, how many gallons this is, I don't know, 20,000 gallon tank or something? Maybe not that much. Huge tank of fish.
It was a fish tank, the presidential goldfish tank.
Yeah,
there's like children sitting in the chairs and the thrones and the everything. It's really incredible.
Private residence, and were amazed. Whole families toured the opulence. Some tried out his private gym. Others took a dip in the presidential pool, while security services stood back and watched. The mood was festive. Unlike the night before when police fired tear gas to disperse crowds who'd set fire to the house of the prime minister. Anger has been building over fuel shortages and a collapsed economy, thanks in part to corruption and incompetence, but also to COVID, which shut down tourism, Sri Lanka's main source of income.
The list of things that caused this, you could play that same list of things in the U.S., inflation, rising food costs, fuel shortages, all due to corruption.
Some level of corruption.
It is just
mostly COVID.
And also COVID. It's like you could say that exact list of causes for the U.S. You could say it for literally any country in the world.
Yep.
And I think that's part of the fear being stricken into the elites here. Oh, geez. I mean, look.
I think it's part of the design, though. I think the people's uprising is calculated into the whole New World Order thing.
Totally. Really? I mean, we know this because they include stuff like this in things like Event 201.
Yeah.
You know, the uprising of the people, the protests, in Event 201. Yeah, the bank runs. All this is if not planned, it's planned for. It's accounted for.
Yeah, it's accounted for. That's a good way to put it. It's built into the response. Reaction.
Corruption and incompetence, but also to COVID, which shut down tourism, Sri Lanka's main source of income. The protesters say they're going nowhere until they're sure the president has stepped down, supposedly on Wednesday, though there's been no word from the man himself.
There you go. He's never going to be heard from again. He will retire on Epstein Island. Well, maybe not
he jumped into a helicopter with bags of cash and gold, like the leaders of Afghanistan when Biden pulled out. It's just, it's part of what you do.
Yeah, and a USB drive with Bitcoin on it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So there you go. And we also have this footage here of citizens in Sri Lanka breaking through the gates, I believe, and it's got obviously a lot of people, looks pretty dangerous there. But to me, it's got this vibe. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, but the original version, the common citizen are sort of left outside the gates, and only those who get the golden ticket are able to go into the chocolate factory. But it looks like those gates, wide open, and everyone gets to come check out the chocolate factory. That's the vibe I get. Yeah. So very interesting that it's all kind of unraveling, so to speak.
Man, what an exciting time to be a Sri Lankan. Can you imagine? That's kind of the part that disappoints me a little bit. Is like, in the U.S. we're so comfortable. We got other things going on. Like this, I can't imagine this happening this way. Where like just the normal people. I mean, it doesn't. Now I don't know much about Sri Lankan politics. But it doesn't look like there's two different sides here.
There's just the people and then the government.
Like
those are the two different sides.
I know.
Yeah. One thing to see it in Sri Lanka, it's another thing to see this kind of thing in China.
Welcome to Chinese News! Our top news!
And we have CNBC here. This is mirroring an AP article, and the headline is Chinese bank depositors face police in angry protest. So this is also happening in China. A large crowd of angry Chinese bank depositors faced off with police Sunday, some roughed up as they were taken away, in a case that has drawn attention because of earlier attempts to use COVID-19 tracking app to prevent them from mobilizing. Remember the whole thing?
We covered that story. Yeah, they were manipulating the red light, green light system for the COVID tracking to keep people away from the bank.
Right. So if they found out that they're organizing or looking to participate in the protest, then their social credit score turned red for COVID or whatever, and they couldn't access certain areas and whatever.
Right.
Hundreds of people held up banners and chanted slogans on the wide steps of the entrance of China's central bank in the city of Zhengzhou in Henan province, about 620 kilometers or 380 miles southwest of Beijing. Video taken by protesters shows plainclothed security teams being pelted with water bottles and other objects as they charged the crowd. Later videos posted on social media show an unclear number of protesters being shoved forward individually and downstairs by security teams dressed in plain white or black t-shirts. Phone calls to Zhengzhou City and Henan Province police rang unanswered. The protesters are among thousands of customers who opened accounts at 6 rural banks in Henan and neighboring Anhui province that offered higher interest rates. Sound familiar? They later found they could not withdraw their funds after media reports that the head of the bank's parent company was on the run and wanted for financial crimes.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. I mean, I guess things don't change a whole lot anywhere in the world, but
I mean, just to jump on it, on the analysis here, this is, we've seen a lot of things happening in the crypto space, the Celsius story right now, where,
whoa, what was that? It sounded like
a cat. I didn't know there was a cat in here.
I thought it was the alien.
There's a cat in here, and he almost destroyed everything. he's going to get real hot real fast. Sorry, buddy. It just mirrors the Celsius situation. And in the U.S., the media around it, whether it's social media or whatever, is like, oh, see, this is what you get for getting into crypto. It's a scam. It's a da. And it's like, well, and this is this is just their bank in China. Like, it's just their regular bank that's approved by the government, et cetera, et cetera. And the exact same thing is happening. And again, they want you to focus on so many other things and not focus on the class aspect of this. There is an elite financial class of people that, if they want to at any moment, could jump in a helicopter with bags of your money and disappear. And there's nothing you can do about it. You're just powerless.
Yeah, it says here what had been a local scandal became a national incident last month because of the misuse of the COVID-19 tracking app. And it talks about, what it did, basically preventing people from traveling. Some reported being questioned by police after checking into their hotel about why they had come to the city. I mean, that's totalitarian, like crazy, And I have footage here of some of the bank run. It's a 7-second clip, but just in the 7 seconds, you get the sense China has this great ability to have that extra dystopian feel with the police guy talking as in like giving out instructions. So here we go. There's a big crowd, and there's a lot of people getting pushed around and stuff like that. So, but yeah, that there's always that voice, like whatever in the background. Just I don't know, displaying its authority with the loud speaker. And here you go.
And interestingly enough, we know, as by example, that China is not afraid to use deadly force on their own citizens. I mean, Sri Lanka is a bit less of a capable, militarized police state, but China certainly could go a different way.
Yeah, and I've been talking about China and what they're probably going to do to their citizens. It's part of the microchip shortage. The theory that I presented last episode, which for some degree, I think, is confirmed today. But before we get there, CNBC here.
This is hilarious.
Yes, this is hysterical. If for those of you, many of you listening are Americans, not all of you, but there are many of you who are in the United States listening.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I should not have interrupted that. Would you mind if I read this after you give your intro?
Sure. I do have some things highlighted, but you can do it. Go ahead.
You can also help guide me, but it is just too good to not get pumped on.
If you don't think it's going to happen in this country, then you have another thing coming. So,
this is great. Keep in mind, folks, the analysis that Gonz has been bringing up the past couple episodes about, report journalism about your feelings. And CNBC.com headline: Do you have recession anxiety? Here are 5 ways to cope, according to a psychotherapist and a financial psychologist. As talk about the possibility, I'll just give a little intro here. As talk about the possibility of a recession heats up, so may your anxiety. While a downturn...
Sorry. I always have to remind people that recession, when the official report comes out, we're in a recession, that's a lagging indicator. That's showing what happened. That's what we're going through now is a recession. And then later they'll say, it's a recession. But anyway, continue.
Yeah. While a downturn is not a foregone conclusion, some experts have recently boosted the odds of a recession happening in the near term. Citigroup, assessing global economic growth over the next 18 months, sees a 50% probability of a global recession happening. The Goldman Sachs has put the odds of a recession for the U.S. in the next year at 30%. Others, like UBS, are not convinced one is happening. Either way, it's just the possibility of a recession occurring is enough to fuel anxiety. Quote, when we talk about anxiety, we're talking about uncertainty, said licensed psychotherapist B. Arthur, CEO of The Difference, which provides on-demand teletherapy for companies and communities. The qualifier licensed psychotherapist is a little suspicious. But what they're trying to say there is he's not a practicing psychotherapist. He doesn't psychotherapize for his day job. He's a CEO of a company.
With a license.
Yeah, but he has a license. They don't say where this license is from or if he's even good at his job. But okay. Quote, "We can't see how bad a recession will be or if it will come," she added. You're wrong, but okay. The official definition of anxiety per the American Psychological Association is, they had a word count, so they had to kind of, with the Webster's Dictionary defines anxiety, quote, "an emotion characterized by feelings of tension, worried thoughts, and physical changes like increased blood pressure. That emotion can have a direct impact on your financial life. The emotion of anxiety can have a direct impact on your financial life."
Yeah, they're going to spend more money on psychotherapy.
Exactly. Yeah. Suddenly you're paying $100 a week for psychotherapy. Yeah. But I love it. It's the emotion that can impact your financial life, not the recession causing the emotion. Those who are anxious or stressed are more likely to engage in costly financial behaviors, including borrowing from high-cost financial services firms and withdrawing cash from retirement accounts, according to a report from the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, Investor Education Foundation, and the Global Financial Literacy Excellence Center.
Oh, my gosh.
2 lines to describe that organization.
Now, here you go.
Gons, we must solve your anxiety, or else you're going to make bad decisions.
Okay.
Here are 5 ways to cope with anxiety.
All right, give it to me.
Before it hurts your mental and financial health, according to psychologists. Number 1, narrow your focus.
Okay, I can, narrow path, yes. Jesus talks about the narrow path,
Get that tunnel vision, that sort of universally regarded as a positive thing. Tunnel vision.
Yes, tunnel vision.
The thing that like kills pilots and motorcycle riders.
Sure.
That's good for recessions.
Those horses, they get the blinders on the side.
Exactly. Put the blinders on. Yeah. Pay less attention to macroeconomic news and focus more on your particular situation, said financial psychologist and certified financial planner Brad Klontz. There's somebody you should trust with your finances. Brad Klontz. Quote, "That will actually save you from about 95% of the stress," he said.
75%.
But I'm sorry. I just got excited.
Bro. Zoom in.
I got to zoom in. I'm looking too wide here, Brad Klontz. 75% of the stress. So ignoring the fact we are going into a recession or are already here, ignoring the financial state of the world will alleviate 3/4 of your stress. You know what? He's not wrong. You got to give him that.
Yeah. In other words, ignorance is bliss is kind of what he's saying here.
Thanks, Brad.
Yeah.
There's another quote here. "We are being asked to expand and allow for so many crises, so many stressors to enter our energy field.
Oh, my gosh.
We have to pull back," she said. "We have to regain our power."
What are we talking? This is super new agey. What are we talking about here?
Exactly. You might as well be talking to some TikTok horoscope woman.
Yeah.
This is from, what is her name?
Financial advisor.
No, this is not Brad Klontz.
Oh, it's not.
This is
Arthur.
Bia Arthur or whatever. Okay, so that's number 1. Ignore it.
All right. Okay. Don't think of the macro.
It's starting out like Joe Biden's
what was it? Plan?
Yeah, no, but his recent op-ed that he published. Remember his op-ed about how he's going to fix inflation?
Yes.
And step 1 was like, ignore it and do nothing. So if it works for Joe, it should work for you, folks.
Yeah.
Number 2. Here's number 2.
Okay. What else do I need to do? First off, I need to ignore the macro. Next, what?
Ignore everything. 2, meet with a financial advisor.
Oh, okay.
Since anxiety is really about uncertainty around future events, talking to a financial advisor could ease your mind, said Klontz, an associate professor of practice in financial psychology and behavior finance at Cretin University Heider College of Business. Northwestern Mutual's 2022 Planning and Progress study bears that out. Some 54% of U.S. adults said they are somewhat or very anxious about their finances. According to the survey conducted with Harris etc., etc. However, that percentage drops to 46% for people who work with a financial advisor, and 47% for those who identify as disciplined planners.
Hold on, what is this? 54% to 46%. So having a financial advisor, spread. I was going to say, it saves me 8% anxiety by giving up maybe what another 10% of my income or my wealth to this advisor. Maybe less.
I don't know if it's that much, but again, the answer is spend money.
Yeah.
It's
well, obviously,
ignore the news and spend money on financial advisors. You know, the ones that should have told us about the recession ahead of time.
Hey,
but okay.
Do these financials? Oh, I guess these are psychologists. Okay, I was going to say if they're financial psychiatrists, that could be a really big money-making
Step
product.
3: get a Xanax prescription. That'll really cool your jets, man.
What's their step 3 here? Let's get through this.
Number 3. Here's step 3. Do a worst-case scenario exercise.
Okay.
This is Clance's favorite exercise, which leads you through what would happen in response to a series of events. Talk about your fears, such as, I'm worried about a recession. And then ask yourself, then what would happen? Continue on from there. So if the answer to the first question was, I may lose my job, ask yourself, then what would happen? Keep running all the scenarios from there, Clance said. Quote, the worst case scenario exercise is like jumping off an emotional cliff, he said. Quote, when you run through the scenarios, it is not life-threatening and it is not as bad as they fear it would be. Sounds like a really problematic thing for both a psychiatrist or psychologist and a financial advisor to be telling you. Yeah, just jump off an emotional cliff. That'll help your anxiety.
You'll realize it's not as bad as you thought.
Yeah. On the other hand, the stress that can do what? On the other hand, the stress that can do real damage. That's
not a good sentence at all.
Period.
I don't know what you're trying to say. Yeah.
Quote, financial stress can kill you, but it is rare that our financial situation is life-threatening, Clance said.
Okay. What else?
Sounds like Clance has had a pretty easy life. Is what
Clance has never had to deal with.
Old Brad Clance hasn't. You could probably take a pretty good guess at what zip code old Clancy lives in. Mm-hmm. Number 4. Okay. You ready for 4?
Yep.
Take a moment. Just take a moment, Cons.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It may sound trite, but taking a moment to pause and take a few deep breaths can really help, according to Clance. Quote, when we become emotionally flooded, we become rationally challenged, he explained. Quote, the key is to calm down your emotional brain before you make any decisions. That can stop you from making bad financial decisions like panic selling stocks when the market goes down.
Okay. All right.
Thanks, Brad.
Sure.
5. Expand your frame of reference.
Okay.
So first we narrowed our vision.
Narrow our thinking or whatever, our vision. What was this?
Yeah. Now we expand our frame of
narrow your focus, number 1. And number 5 is what?
Expand your frame of
reference.
I'm gonna say it like that.
Okay.
That's
hard to do.
Yeah.
You want me to narrow and expand at the same time? Got it.
Yeah. So the world's about to end. Recession's about to hit. You've got kids. You've got a house. You've got a thing. Everything's horrible. Number 1, ignore it. Number 2, pay somebody to tell you to ignore it. Number 3, jump off an emotional cliff and do some worst scenario exercises. Number 4, take a moment. Number 5, expand your frame of reference. When the market sells off and the chart for the week makes it look like it fell off a cliff, another cliff.
Yeah, a lot of cliffs.
A lot of cliffs. A lot of falling off of cliffs.
Clance cliffs.
Yeah,
he should really monetize on that whole thing, you know? Just KK, Clance cliffs.
I think
emotional
not. Yeah, I think not surprisingly, Clance also sounds like the sound that it makes when you fall off of all these cliffs. Clance. Fell off a cliff. That's a narrow frame of reference, Clance said. However, as a long-term investor, you want an expanded frame of reference. When you do that, the cliff actually looks more like a pothole, he explained. Quote,
hold on. You just told me in part 1 to narrow my frame of reference, but now you're telling me to expand my frame of reference?
Listen to Clance.
Clance.
Do what Clance tells you.
I don't know what you want me to do.
Quote, stretch it out 10 years, 15 years, Clance said. Quote, it's a steady climb up a mountain with a couple potholes along the way. Also remember that people are typically invested in more than one asset class. So when you see the market dropping, know that your diversified portfolio may not be sinking as deeply. End of article. That's what it's going to take, Gons, to get through this recession, okay? Ignore it. Take a breath, jump off a cliff, jump off another cliff, and think about all the do a worst case scenario cliff exercise.
I just can't get over the fact that number 1 is narrow your focus. Don't pay attention to the macro. Yeah. And then number 5 is expand your frame of reference.
Yes.
Pay attention to the macro.
Yeah, as if there wasn't enough sort of criticism to give the psychoanalyst, Monsieur Clance.
It's making me crazy, Clance.
Yeah.
It drives me crazy. Okay.
And it's probably not great because you're from California where potholes, as he's trying to diminish the cliff thing, the potholes in California are basically cliffs. Like, that does not help your frame of reference.
You can find yourself in a pothole and not come out. There is you can't zoom out, and there is no gradual rise to the top with a couple pullbacks.
Look at this.
Straight down.
Gons, I don't know if you see this, but if you go all the way down, there's in really tiny font, it says actually number 6, get vaccinated. They got it in there.
Okay, Good job.